of one Deshaun Watson. Do not blame Deshaun Watson for the Houston Texans' struggles. I'm going to repeat myself. Please, for the love of God, do not blame Deshaun Watson for the Houston Texans' struggles and shortcomings. Let me shift to this. I'm going to ask you all a question. We look at the Houston Texans right now. They're a 4-10 football team. They don't have a head coach. They don't have the organization doesn't currently have a general manager put in place. They're a mess right now. They're not a good football team. They're not close to being a playoff team right now. It's a mess over in Houston right now. The Houston Texans, they have underachieved in 2020. But I want to ask all of you a question, okay? This Texans team is clearly not a playoff team right now. What current starting quarterback in the NFL could lead this current Houston Texans roster to the playoffs? What quarterback do you know right now in the NFL with this current roster, with this current coaching staff, what quarterback could lead this current Houston Texans roster to the playoffs? Because here's what you're working with. First of all, you're in a division with the Titans and the Colts. Mike Vrabel, he's an excellent coach. Frank Wright, he's an excellent coach that no one talks about, okay? You're going up against those guys 2 times apiece, okay? So you're going to face Mike Vrabel and Frank Wright and a loaded Titans team and a loaded Colts team 2 times between the two, okay? So you'll face the Colts twice, you'll face the Titans twice, okay? Also, keep this in mind. Do you know the Houston Texans currently have the 24th best defense as far as points per game allowed in the NFL? 24th in the NFL are the Texans as far as points per game allowed on defense. Does Deshaun Watson play defense? Does he play linebacker? Does he play safety? Does he play defensive tackle? No. Deshaun Watson is the quarterback, people. Not to mention, the defense is also 31st in total defense. They've given up the second most total yards in the entire NFL on average, okay? They're 31st in total defense. Not to mention, the offensive line, it's not very good. They've allowed Deshaun Watson to get sacked 44 times so far, and we've got 2 weeks left in the NFL season. I'm willing to bet Deshaun Watson is probably sacked about 50 times this year. The Texans' offensive line is surrendering 3.2 sacks per game, which is the 3rd worst in the entire NFL. Right now, the Houston Texans have the worst rushing attack in the entire NFL on offense. The New York Jets average more rushing yards per game than the Houston Texans, okay? They're dead last in the NFL in rushing yards. So your quarterback is going to have to throw the ball a bunch of times in order for you to win football games. You're not going to be a balanced football team. You've heard all the information. You've heard all the statistics. You probably watched Texans games this year. Name me the starting quarterback in the NFL right now that can lead this Texans team to the playoffs. Because unless you don't, the only names you probably should mention are Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson. Those are about the only guys. And I'm willing to bet my money that Patrick Mahomes cannot lead this team to the playoffs. I'm willing to bet my money an older Aaron Rodgers cannot lead this team to the playoffs. And I'm willing to bet my money that Russell Wilson would not be able to lead this team to the playoffs. And again, if they do, that's fine, but that's 3 guys right there. So we're talking about maybe, and I mean maybe, 3 quarterbacks currently that are starting in the NFL that can win football games consistently and get this Texans team to the playoffs. We're talking maybe only 3 guys in the entire NFL can do it. Don't give me Lamar Jackson. Don't give me Josh Allen. Don't give me Kyler Murray. Don't give me an old aging Tom Brady or an old aging Drew Brees. Don't give me those guys. Those guys cannot carry that roster. That should not be arguable, okay? And keep in mind, Bill O'Brien, he traded away DeAndre Hopkins. Bill O'Brien's a terrible decision maker. He's no longer the head coach, but his lasting mark is still there on the Houston Texans, and it's been there in a negative way. He consistently did not prepare the team for games. He consistently underachieved in Houston, and he did not put Deshaun Watson in a great position to succeed, and he traded away Deshaun Watson's best wide receiver from a year ago, DeAndre Hopkins. He traded DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson. How dumb and how stupid do you have to be to make that trade Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien, he's a terrible head coach. He's a terrible general manager. And the only reason he had a job for as long as he did was because of one Deshaun Watson. And folks, let's not act like Deshaun Watson just started bursting onto the scene. Deshaun Watson, he actually has a real resume, folks. Let's go back to Deshaun Watson's rookie year. Deshaun Watson, his rookie year. He started 6 games. The team was 3-3 on the season. He unfortunately tore his ACL. That was out of his control. Do you know how many games the Houston Texans won after Deshaun Watson got hurt? They won 1 game. 1 game. They went 1-9 without Deshaun Watson. That should tell you how good Deshaun Watson is. The team was a 500 ball club Deshaun Watson's rookie year. They could only win 1 game when he went down due to injury. Keep in mind, everyone talks about, look at Justin Herbert. He's dominating the NFL as a rookie. Deshaun Watson was on pace to have the greatest rookie season for a quarterback in NFL history before he got injured. Deshaun Watson, his rookie year, was on pace to throw for 43 touchdown passes before he got injured. In 2018, the very next year, he goes 11-5. He completes 68% of his throws, has a pass rating of 103, despite being sacked 62 times. And Deshaun Watson found a way to win that division, despite getting sacked that amount of times. He won the division when Andrew Luck was still playing football, folks. He won that division over Andrew Luck. Let's fast forward to the very next year. In 2019, Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans find themselves in the playoffs once again, despite opposing opponents outgaining the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans last year got outgained as a football team, and they still found a way to win 10 games because of Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson in the playoffs beat a very good Buffalo Bills team. He overcame that very good elite Buffalo Bills defense despite having no Will Fuller, despite having no running game, despite getting sacked 6 times, and despite Bill O'Brien's terrible coaching. If you go back and watch Deshaun Watson play the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs last season in 2019, go back and watch that playoff game. And if you think Deshaun Watson is not a top-tier quarterback after watching that game, then I just cannot help you. You're just blind to greatness. You're just blind to who has talent and who doesn't, okay? And this year, the team's not great, but guess what? It's not because of Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson has not added on to the Houston Texans' problems. Sure, we can hold Deshaun Watson accountable to a certain degree. We can hold him accountable for the Cleveland Browns game where the team only scored 7 points and the defense, held Baker Mayfield to 10 points. I'll give you that. Deshaun Watson's not perfect, but no quarterback in the NFL is perfect. And like I just mentioned, Deshaun Watson is doing the best he can, folks. He's doing all he can. He's trying, man. He really is. And he has not added to the Houston Texans' problems. I'm sorry, but a guy through 14 games that's completing 69.9% of his throws, a guy that's thrown for 27 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and has a 110.6 passer rating, that guy's not the problem. That's the same passer rating as one Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes has much better weapons and a much better supporting cast and a much better coaching staff than Deshaun Watson. The fact that Deshaun Watson has the same passer rating right now as I speak today as one Patrick Mahomes, it's mind-boggling to me. I don't know how Deshaun Watson does it because we saw a very talented quarterback in Carson Wentz this year fold because his team was not very good around him. Are we also going to ignore the fact that Deshaun Watson had a 24-0 lead on Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs last year? Okay, I'm sorry, people, but if you can't recognize Deshaun Watson's greatness, I cannot help you, okay? And outside of Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Russell Wilson, what other quarterback are you taking over Deshaun Watson? Lamar Jackson? Personally, I'm going to pass. Deshaun Watson is a more accurate thrower of the football. Deshaun Watson has won a playoff game. Lamar Jackson has not. Lamar Jackson has not shown he can elevate under pressure. Deshaun Watson, he's shown that in the highest leverage moments in the playoffs, he can elevate under pressure. Kyler Murray, I'm sorry, he's really good, but a little bit too small. I think Deshaun Watson's a better thrower from the pocket. Actually, I don't think that. I know that. Josh Allen, Got a lot of respect for Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he's got a cannon for an arm. But didn't Deshaun Watson beat Josh Allen in a playoff game last year, despite having a much worse roster? That's fair to point out, people. That's fair to point out. I think Deshaun Watson's a more accurate thrower of the football. I will take him over Josh Allen. So, folks, stop the nonsense. If you can't see how talented Deshaun Watson is, I cannot help you. Okay, I just can't, okay? Deshaun Watson is not overrated. He should not be blamed for the Houston Texans' struggles. And I 100% without a doubt know that if Deshaun Watson gets a much better and more stable head coach, the Houston Texans, they're going to go far. They're going to go places. Okay, Deshaun Watson, he's a great quarterback. He has a chance to win a Super Bowl because he's very, very talented. As long as you get Deshaun Watson a stable head coach and a good enough roster, he will win a Super Bowl. I guarantee you, as long as he stays healthy. So in reality, those of you that are slandering Deshaun Watson out there, just stop it. You don't know what you're talking about. And ultimately, you're just flat out wrong. Deshaun Watson should not be blamed for the Houston Texans' struggles. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.